Sorry,
So a
Tommy.
statue. Yeah, no, you're good. So a statue was removed in Ghana, or a university in Ghana, when some early writing of Gandhi before he made his like conversion to, this peaceful guy that he is he actually wrote in a journal. This is while he was in South Africa. Uh, that white people should be there and that they should be the predominant race. That's quote end quote. And then he also said right after that that black people are very troublesome, very dirty, and live like animals. And then it goes on. So like the guy was a full-fledged racist. He like adopted everything from like the white racists down in South Africa during apartheid, and he carried that on into coming back to India. So I mean, that's up to you guys to decide. For there's a lot more like research on that and the
We
things that
all a
he
little
said and
racist.
done.
Didn't he get
I think we
assassinated?
all a little racist to be honest. I think people get with their family and they talk about certain people or, black people or niggas or whatever they call
Mm-hmm.
us. I feel like it's black people that get around and they talk about Mexicans or white people. So shit. I mean, just keep it real. We all a little racist and we learn it from our parents. If you
Yeah,
really want to be
cause
technical, it's
That's a
learned at
fact.
home.
yeah, cause behaviors are learned. It's not like we're just born racist. Like we learn a behavior is learned. So if that's how we're growing up, then that's what's gonna be in our head. Now we can change, as we get older and shit. But you're right. I mean, a behavior is fucking learned. So we all have those tendencies. Now, once you get grown and you choose to move a certain way, I do hold you accountable. But it's embedded in us. Unfortunately.
I hate everybody equally.
No, that's a fact, right?
Shut up, Beast.
Y'all trying to ruin
Yeah,
my
my
whole
hate does
weekend.
not
Y'all talking about
discriminate.
Why,
MLK.
Brock?
Discriminators.
Cause MLK niggas talking about MLK fake, Gandhi fake. Like I don't know. I'm doing
They
research
ruined
on
your
my
Brock,
shit,
don't
phone,
listen to
bro.
these
Nah,
niggas, bro.
nah.
I'm
Brock,
No,
doing my
Brock.
Brock.
research on my
Nigga,
phone,
Brock,
gang.
don't listen to these niggas. I don't know what they talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm
He
doing
stopped
research.
listening when they said Santa Claus is
I'm
fake.
still listening.
So,
I'm still
Hey,
looking at the Martin Luther King
I ain't
cartoon,
gonna
nigga.
lie.
I don't
hey,
give
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Brock,
fuck.
I know which one.
Brock, searching for
This
should have had you at the
Searching for
beach sitting
Martin.
on the rocks, looking at the
ready,
water,
ready to jump off a bridge
depressed.
Smoking a
sometimes.
blunt.
Oh
Nah,
man,
I'm
Pebbles,
depressed
really,
like a
I'm really
motherfucker.
fucked up
sipping
about this Martin
pebbles.
Luther King thing. I ain't gonna lie. What Cap at? Cap, we might have to debate on this one, man. I'm about to have to go get my shit. I ain't
I
gonna
have to
lie.
get
I'm
really
really
Hey,
fucked
I'm
up.
prepared.
I'm on another call. Come right there, and I know you a little messed up. Everybody get messed up by
Yeah, I'm a
Martin Luther
little
King.
messed
It's
up
all right.
about that Martin Luther King, Cap. I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah.
cause
No, I
cause
ain't
I
talking
grew
to
up
you. I'm
watching
on
that
the
movie,
My
clubhouse.
and it
Martin Luther
still
King
to this
had a
day.
dream. I don't know what
Yeah,
y'all talking about.
Oh my
yeah, you
Half
know
Martin
that
god.
Luther
movie
King had a beer
where you see
bottle.
Stupid.
Martin Luther King and they take you back in the day and you with Martin Luther King and you playing
Hmm.
baseball and shit.
Yeah,
Y'all
and
remember
they
that movie?
pull, and then when you at school and they pull the TV out, they roll the TV in
Yep,
your room, nigga.
yep.
Yeah, I don't know what y'all
Ever
talking
since
about.
then, I've been with Martin Luther King, bro. Ain't no nigga can
I
tell me
was
nothing
just
about
happy
Martin
they
Luther King.
taught my baby about a black man
You
finally at
feel me,
school.
Phoenix?
Yeah, that's kind of different. That's just bad. It's because man, they stopped that shit for a while.
Because look,
Hmm.
Martin Luther King do good, and I'm gonna stop trolling. I'm gonna be serious right now. Like Martin Luther King, he inspires black men to do better. So like, yeah, he might not have been the best example or whatever, and we might know some deep down dirt about him and shit. But shouldn't we like kind of like push him to the forefront? You know what I'm saying? Because he actually do more good than bad. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't think like mistakes or things that you've said or done should define you as a person, especially if you're one of influence, right? Because if you look at it, the good still weighs out the bad. So I think people hyper focus on small things like, oh, he's done X, Y, and Z. We should cancel it. No, I think Martin Luther King's a great example. I think he's a great guy. I
He
think people
created a
need
whole
to model
movement, I believe,
themselves
didn't he?
after him.
Hey,
I feel like this is a
Yeah, he
way of
when
created a
people
whole
trying to
movement.
discredit heroes and national icons.
if a man says that he felt he was leading the black people to a burning house, what does that say about his mission? That's what he said. His own quote, verbatim. Towards the end of his mission, he changed his mind. I give him the credit for being able to gather the people. So like that boycott that he did on the buses was a prime example of when black people come together and unite, they can get whatever they want. Because they wanted to get, feel like they could sit wherever it is that they wanted to sit. But then they turned that mission into serving another nation and then leaving their own behind. Because once again, if you start fighting to go into white restaurants and you convincing all these black people that the white restaurants are better, what happens to the black restaurants? Where are the black restaurants today? If you tell them the black stores, we want to get into the white stores, and you're convincing all these black people white stores are better, what happens to the white stores? Even if you do Brown versus Board of Education, where we want white people's education, for having the black folks education. So he can be a hero to some, but at what cost? Because we don't have none of that shit now. But when you go during the time of Martin Luther King, we had all of that. But his dream of everybody coming together, we lost. We lost everything. We don't have black homes. We don't have black businesses. We don't have black education. If y'all look up Little Rock, Arkansas for another example. Now this ain't Martin. This is like Brown versus Board of Education. So in Little Rock, Arkansas, that's when they had the National Guard protect these 9 black kids that they were sending to a white school. And the reason why they had the National Guard there, because you got these white parents, these white children, all angry and violently wanting to attack these 9 kids and their families because they go into their school. And there's a video of the woman of one of the children or the one of the
Was
girls
that the
that went
video
to
they
that
showed in
school.
Forrest Gump, Cap? Was that like part of the
No,
video? No.
no, I ain't seen Forrest Gump to know that.
Oh,
But
okay,
in the
okay.
video, but in the video, they showed a black girl. She's older, and they asked her what was her experience going to that school, and she said, "I guess I would have been more nicer if I would have went to black school." She said because the way that they abused
Let
me at
violence
that
home.
school, I couldn't. Yeah, she said the way they abused me at that school, I couldn't fight them, so I would come home and fight my, excuse me, beat up
I
my
read
younger
that.
brother. You know what I'm saying? So now we become violent to our own because we're afraid or we feel like we can't fight the one that's actually attacking us. So you can call Martin a hero if you want, and you can call black people that wanted to integrate if you want. But if you look at what we lost, ain't none of that shit heroic. It was bitch made. Yeah.
See, Cap, I'm big on intentions. I get what you saying because you bigger on results and action, and I respect that. But like I'm huge on the intentions, and I feel like his intentions was good. I think when we start to like say, okay, he was with this white woman, but he only married Coretta for XYZ. I think we being presumptuous at that point and adding our own like thoughts into it, like by the facts. I feel like he did good for black people, and my opinion is we so critical on our own leaders. Like we talk about the 1% or 5% that they did wrong, rather than highlighting the 95% that they did right. Yeah, we should hold everybody accountable, but certain people, like certain people, if it ain't do nothing like crazy, I feel like they should get a pass because of their intentions and what they represent for our community. But that's just me.
What I'll say, the last thing I'll say on it, you said the results, right?
Yeah,
So if we look at the results, we just go by the leadership. So let's say if he had good intentions, because it could have been good, because he looking at the oppression, and you can't knock that, black people was oppressed back then, and they trying to find
right.
solutions. But once he says that he feel like he was leading his people into a burning house, that's him acknowledging he was wrong, and we were supposed to take that information and stop that dream.
Well,
But we further the
or
dream.
revise that dream, Cap,
But in
because
it,
he died right after that.
okay,
He died right after that.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
can't really
And
so
I think,
you should commend him
mhm,
for that though, Cap. I think you should commend him for saying, hey, I fucked up. Cause my favorite type of leaders is a leader that can stand up and say, I messed up. Because you're not gonna be perfect as a leader, but one thing you can do is have accountability and say, you know what, y'all, I was leading y'all. I thought we was going the right way. I'm looking at the results. It's not necessarily the right way. And then they killed his ass.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't blame him for that, especially now that you saying he's saying, damn, I was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
and I think that when you add that part, and then you add the propaganda now, because he's the face for white people. When you have, so like when the Panthers come up, or like when the Muslims is coming up, Martin was the face that they would use against the Muslims as far as being separate. Martin was the face for the Panthers when they was trying to defend themselves. So the detriment, and then you have people that still push Martin's dream to this day. So the result part, I rock with you on that, but I don't think we learned from anything he said, because that should have been the most important thing. Like if I say, man, I've been teaching this Bible wrong all this time, we shouldn't do it this way, we should do it another way. Nobody should carry anything that I said prior to that because I said it was wrong. But we still carrying that shit about him as if the shit he said was right when he said he's wrong.
Yeah,
So
because Cap, I don't think everything was wrong. I think we can't be so,
what was
so,
right then?
so. Oh, say it again.
Tell me what was right.
I'm just saying, like the thought process of people being fighting for equality. Like I think that thought
Mm.
process, just that basic premise, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like some rainbow and fairy tale ass shit. But that's not a bad thought process, and I think that was his initial thought process.
But you're fighting to be equal with people that's already empowered over you. It would be more powerful for us to have kept building what we were already building. Like statistically, in the 1960s, the black household was becoming the number one household in America. We were the threat, and Martin helped get rid of that threat. Education, I mean, math is the only thing that's universal. History is subjective. You know, that ain't nothing. And a lot of people is learning the true history now. So outside of math, we didn't really have to learn their type of educational system. We learned our own. We were smarter than them already. That's why 40 years removed from so-called being free from slave, we building the best things. And when you think about that, look up the inventions that black people created. And half of these inventions that white folk take credit for was created
Totally.
by black people. You know what I'm saying? So when we say what we gained or trying to join with a nation that's clearly to this day is still strategically trying to dominate us, that equality dream was just nonsense. There's no equality. Somebody's always going to feel superior. Somebody's going to always feel somebody else is inferior. The problem with black people is that we don't understand that concept. Every other nation does. Every other nation makes sure to try to establish their people as superior. And whatever it is they may do, we're the only ones that think our superiority comes in getting along with everybody else.
So Cap,
I agree.
do
I agree
you think
with that.
his motive was more like self-absorbed, like, so like to try to like fit in, it wasn't for like, I guess the greater good of the people? Like, do you think he saw what he was doing,
If, if
setting us up for failure?
if anything, I would never say his intention wasn't sincere in the beginning. I don't know if maybe along the way he got a little lost. Like I said, like if you do the real history, like he didn't want to be nonviolent in the beginning. That nonviolent was Bayard Rustin told him to do that, to not be violent. Like he wanted to be violent, and so
Mm.
him as the face is probably more so why he's either vilified or glorified, but you can't put the whole movement on his shoulders. It's just he's the face of it. Like anything, whoever's the face of the organization gets the blame or the glory of whatever happens.
The
Right, but
But
quarterback.
he did not want to.
we started off talking about the white, his white
Yeah,
girlfriend,
he
and
loved them white women.
I just been sitting here like on mute, and I'm like, well, damn, was he trying to, was it a more like self-absorbed motive that he had because he
It could
liked the
be.
right white women, and then you said that he pretty much used Coretta Scott King because it looked good,
Yeah,
for the
right,
little
exactly.
situation, but
Hmm.
hoping to like have this shit come together to where he wouldn't be looked at as crazy for being with a white woman
Yeah,
and
because
all of
he
this
couldn't
shit
have done that if he
eventually.
was married to a white woman. Like they
Right.
would have been looking, especially during that time, not a civil rights leader anyway. Just like Bayard Rustin was an open homosexual, but a lot of people don't know that because it was like when I say open homosexual, he was a known homosexual to them, but to the projected people, that information didn't come out till later that he was a
Yeah,
homosexual.
yeah. Usually in the history books, when it comes to people who are gay, they usually say they were really good friends. Have you ever noticed that? They were
Right,
great friends. They were very
right.
close friends. They used to live together. Matter of fact, great friend.
Hmm.
Wait, so when you say that, you're saying what?
Yeah, that's what
Like,
they write in the
I'm
history
saying that a
book.
homosexual. Oh, I'm what she's saying. I'm sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
I'm talking about Cap. Like, I
Oh,
know you brought up that, his friend or whomever was,
a homosexual.
a
Yeah.
homosexual.
I'm not
So,
implying anything about Mark. No, I'm not saying anything about Mark. I'm saying that a homosexual influenced him to be nonviolent. Like without
um,
Bayard Rustin, he might not have been nonviolent.
so if
But
he was like straight and influenced them, would it have been different? Or
if he was, if
if he was
I don't think a straight man would have
heterosexual?
influenced. I don't know
Okay.
if a straight man would have influenced him during that
I
time.
think she's saying like, what's the significance of him being gay? Like, like,
Because
like,
gay, he
why
was
do you say
soft. I'm just saying he was soft.
like a feminine man, kind of like?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All
And
right.
saying he was
Cool.
soft. That's what I'm implying.
And then
Because like
Tommy.
during that
I'm
time,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a yield here. Like during that time, most men that were leaders were not trying to be sissies like that with that whole nonviolent shit. Until that gay man influenced Martin for it.
The civil rights movement was very successful, though. It's just that the movement was hijacked, and it benefited people that it wasn't supposed to, well, that it wasn't set out to benefit like that. But women and fucking and like the alphabet community benefited big time off of the civil rights community. So that shit was
That's
very
the proof it
successful.
was a failure.
It
Because
was
if it was for
successful
black
Question.
for
people,
them
yeah,
people.
but because if yeah, see how you saying it's successful for them people, but it wasn't for them people. It was supposed to be for black people.
So black
But
people
like you
not in
just
a
said, it
better.
was successful for the alphabet.
Hold on,
Captain, I
Cap.
have a
So black.
question.
Alphabet is not black.
Um,
Oh, go ahead,
Well,
lady.
was
women
it
too, though. Black women too, though.
was it
No, I'm saying the alphabet wasn't black. That's what I'm saying. And black people, black women didn't benefit more than white women.
I
They
thought
did
like a
benefit.
lot
From
of the
what?
peaceful stuff came from being a pacifist and being a Quaker. I thought Martin Luther King was a Quaker. I'm
I don't
pretty
know if
sure
he
I
was.
read
I
this.
don't know if he was
Do
Quaker.
you know what a Quaker
I
is?
don't know if he was a Quaker.
Okay, yeah, I
But I
think
don't
he
think
was a Quaker. I think
third
he.
of it.
Let me go pull that up.
Wait,
Hmm
like the dude on
And
Quaker
no.
Oats?
Quakers were basically a like sect of Christianity that was, I think, on the Virginias that got really, really popular.
Yeah.
Quakers, they called them
Because it's
Quakers.
interesting that you say Quaker because
It's
his
crazy
Yeah,
born
y'all
name
saying
was
that because y'all
born
not under
name.
his religion, so of course y'all go like,
y-
not to say
No,
be
no,
grave
but
about
his
it, but y'all
born
gonna
name.
bash the man.
no,
Like,
because
When you say
because
Quaker,
that's where
hold on before
being
you do
a
that.
pacifist
I
comes
agree,
from.
sir.
Like that's what.
Hey, before you say that, but before you, it's interesting that you say Quaker because his born name was Michael King. He wasn't born as Martin Luther King. His born name was Michael King. He named himself his father, or he named himself Martin Luther King after Martin Luther, who I believe was, I could be mistaken, but was a Protestant. So when you look
Yeah.
up, he was
He
born
was the
as.
creator of the Protestant Church.
mm-hmm.
So
The
when you
history
say
of Martin
Quaker, it's
Luther. He
just
took.
weird because
Martin
he was
Luther was.
named like if you look up Martin Luther King, his born name was Michael King. It was
Yeah, that's a
changed
fact. His
later to
name was
Martin
Michael
Luther King.
King. That's a fact.
Right. It was changed to Martin Luther King from Martin Luther, and I
Again,
believe
like
Martin Luther was a Protestant.
like I just said, y'all, you Israelite and she Muslim, so of course y'all gonna bash the man because he ain't under y'all shit.
We're not bashing.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Now
wrong with
Muslim ain't got nothing
actually.
to do with it because somebody like
Yeah.
Khalid Muhammad, who's a Muslim. I like Khalid Muhammad. I like Malcolm. Uh, it ain't got nothing to do with religion. It just has to do with the movement itself, and then what he himself said. He said it was fucked up.
Yo, I'll back
Cap.
cap up. I'll back cap up on this one. Martin Luther King was an agent. Simple as that, yo.
All right, but so like y'all, do y'all believe that
Wake it up, Latif. Wake
Yeah,
it
I
up.
knew
Wait,
it.
He
I
was
like a
a,
just
he
found
was
an
what?
an
An
agent.
article.
Think
atheist?
about it. Out of all our black
Agent.
leaders, out
Agent.
of all our black civil rights leaders, he was the only one that was able to actually call on the American government to help him out when he was in the jam. You know what I'm saying? Like he was able to call the vice president directly. Like I'm just saying, like nobody else got all these streets named after them. Nobody else got a national holiday. He was an agent. You know what I'm saying? And he did his job. He integrated America, and black businesses and black communities failed after that. I just had this long talk with my what 80 something, almost 90-year old grand auntie. And she was just saying, because you know what I'm saying, my family got all that property in South Carolina. So I really wanted to dig into her and find out, like, yo, what was it like back in the day? And she was like, yeah, it was a lot of
I was
racism,
just
but
saying
the
that.
white people stayed on their side and we stayed on our side. And that
Absolutely.
was that. We
And y'all
built up our
built.
communities, they
Yep.
built up theirs.
Yep. I was
so
just
y'all
saying that, Latif, like during that time, the black community was together, even with the same problems we got today, but the black community was not what it was today.
so
Period.
to your opinion, Cap, or in anybody really, not just Cap, but like I would y'all think that the black community is in a worse position now than they was in 19, let's say
Absolutely.
40?
Absolutely.
In its entirety, absolutely. Now we
Like
Absolutely.
have some
I can
individuals who have made it out and done very well for themselves, but as a whole, absolutely. Because you got to remember where we was coming from back then. We had to provide our own distribution pipelines from the rooter
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the tutor. Now
Mm-hmm.
that we are integrated, we don't have to actually own an oil field. we could just go to the gas station because, you know what I'm saying, we could all pump gas from the same pump now. You know what I'm saying? But before, we would have had to figure out how to source the gas, get it to the black community, get it to our black gas stations, and service it to our people. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, once you start building that up, you build in your whole infrastructure, your community from your supply chain. You know what I'm saying? So
And
you don't have
generational
that
But
no
wealth and
more.
all
but
of
You don't
that.
have that no more. You
Yeah.
constantly relying
Hmm.
on somebody else to be able to fulfill that.
And
but
fucking
look,
up the
look, look,
Right.
generational
And
wealth and all types of shit.
look.
Damn.
and there's another side. That's why they burned Black Wall Street to the ground,
That was
because
my
that
next
represented the
point.
blueprint on how you do it. And the family, the most important thing to any community is the family. And there was no longer a family. There's no longer a family that existed. What I mean by family, when you grew up in the neighborhoods back then, everybody knew each other, everybody watched each other, everybody took care of each other. We wasn't as violent to each other. It wasn't drug infested. It wasn't what it is today. And we lost that as well because they started separate. They started putting tactics in place to separate the black man from the black woman. Um, Black men started becoming selfish. It's a lot. So we was way better back then, and we suffered the same problem. So we still go through getting locked up, getting harassed by police, getting this and that, and we suffered the same thing back then. But we was united. We understood who the enemy was. We worked with them the same way we try to work with them now, but we knew our family was our own. Like Latif said, we had our cities, they had their cities. It just wasn't corrupt like it
But
is.
Cap, when you look
I
at
just
like,
found
go
something.
ahead, Tommy.
So I just typed in Martin Luther King Quaker, and I found out that Bayard was actually a pacifist Quaker Christian, and that a lot of like the rhetoric that Martin Luther King took from Bayard was that of the pacifist movement, which is like
Hmm.
they specifically believe a person who believes in war and violence is unjustifiable. That's why they're pacifists. They're strongly against that. They're all for peace, love, and positivity, and all violence is like wrong. Hence why Martin Luther King was an avid for that. So it turns out that he took a lot of the Quaker. He was a
From the
part of the
homo.
Quaker organization. Yeah, it's not. It has nothing to do with like homosexuality or like the LGBT community. It's a sect of Christianity that strictly believes in violence is unjustifiable. And I think that he took a lot from that. And apparently he was a part of the Quaker organization as well. But he specifically was Baptist. Specifically, he identified as Baptist, but and did take a lot from the Quaker organization.
So this Rustin or whoever guy that you said he was influenced by, I mean, is it just what he believed in or was it somebody that influenced him to be nonviolent? Cat. Oh, he went on the phone. So Tommy, you're saying that was his belief and that's why he was nonviolent.
Yeah, that was his belief. Like the birth of the Quaker movement actually started, I think, during I don't quote me, maybe the Revolutionary War, could be wrong.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of white people down in like the eastern part of America, Midwest part of America, specifically the Virginias and the North Carolinas and South Carolinas that were against the war, right? And they all, because I mean, of course, for obvious reasons, but there was a huge, huge influx of people during the wars, whether that was a Revolutionary War, that were strongly against it, that protest against it. So that's why they became Quakers, and there was a huge like sect of people. And then eventually, the Quaker religion.
Wow.
I don't even know, but okay, so he was a pacifist and
People
I
went
guess
into like
that's
the
why.
Baptist part of Christianity.
Yeah, my question. I don't know. Cap, is Cap back? Cap, you out there? Oh, you still on mute? I'm gonna wait for bro to get back.
Oh, Brock, all your little dreams.
I'm trying to.
You said we got a debate on
Yeah, cause I
this.
got one more point. Like not
Yeah, I'm
debating,
here.
not
I'm back.
debating with him to be real. I'm just asking him questions because I respect his opinion. But like,
Yeah, I'm back.
yeah, so Cap, so like when you was talking about black people building back in those time periods, like, and I was gonna bring up Black Wall Street, those type of communities like Tulsa and shit like that. They would still marginalize us and shut our shit down because we in their country at the end of the day. Like, so we had to like, I don't believe in assimilation. I'm kind of with you with the separation type, because I think that's best for black people. But we did have to assimilate to some degree so we can actually be able to thrive in their country with their rules. Because even if we did go build our own shit, they'll literally come and bomb that motherfucker. You know what
You
I'm
know what
saying?
they were
So
supposed to
like
do though? They were supposed to stay fighting though. That Black Wall, you know how long it took it? You know how Wack always talk about how fast a dollar leaves out? It took a year for the dollar to
in
leave
Black
out
Wall
in
Street.
Black Wall, either a year or 6 months. Yeah, in Black
Hmm.
Wall Street. That's the reason why they burnt it down because black people, you gotta remember during that time, black people were considered apes, ignorant, dumb, stupid, etc. like that. The first airstrip was in Black Wall Street, period. Hospital, banks, homes, cities, anything that you can imagine was built. That was like the fucking that's the reason why they even call it Black Wall Street is because of how economically sound it was. Can you imagine if that shit existed for like 10, 20, 30 years and how it would inspire and give a blueprint to other black cities to do? That's why they burned it down. And then you got the
So,
pacifists that come after that and say, okay, we don't want to fight. But since y'all gonna burn our cities down, maybe we'll try non-violent and you won't burn our cities down, but they did the same exact shit. If you look at Martin's whole premise, it shows you just how violent the so-called white man is because he still killed that nigga,
so let me.
even though he was not trying to harm him.
I
Hey,
agree
Cap, I got
with.
a question. I'm a
Oh,
little late. I hear y'all breaking it down. So, are you saying that the civil rights movement was a failure? Is that what I'm
Absolutely.
understanding?
Yeah, that's my position.
And you don't think that
I,
we put in a new world, a new age type of perspective on an old school problem? You know what I mean? I know you debate a lot, so you know what an anachronism is. So we take our
mm,
values from today and act like those people knew what we knew or thought what we thought 60, 70 years ago. They didn't have access to the things that we have now information wise. Like we would make
mm.
much better decisions, but that wasn't accessible to us. Education, none of that. You understand? So we didn't even know that we didn't know. Does that make sense? So it's
I
hard
think
to put
I was saying that earlier. That's why I think towards the end, Martin said he felt he was leading his people to a burning house.
what.
The problem is
Mhm.
that even during that time, he did realize that it was wrong, but nobody. And I rolled with Latif a little bit on this part too, and he was like the MLK agent perspective because what happened after that is nobody talks about how he said that was a failure, that he was leading us into a burning house. You don't go into a burning house to live, you go into a burning house to
Well,
die. So what
well,
we
to
were
be fair,
supposed to do,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, I'm with
you
you.
said to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, that was a kind of like a Monday morning quarterback assessment. You know, how it's clear after something happens.
No,
But
but
I'm not.
Martin did say it though. There's other
No, no,
speeches
you're
that you could.
right. Listen to me. Listen
Okay,
to
go
me.
ahead.
I'm
Right,
saying
right.
like after you lose a game and you
Hmm.
look back at the third quarter and be like, damn, we should have ran that play. Like it was
Right.
kind of like that. You get what I'm saying, right? So
I
it was
I
do, but
clear
you
understand.
know what
Oh,
they
after.
do. But you know what
God.
they do, and they say they should have ran that play. They come up with a new play.
No, I'm with you.
They
I'm
come
not
up with a new
disagreeing with you,
strategy.
Cap.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to
But so what
say. Oh,
so
go ahead.
yeah. No, no, no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, all I was saying is because I had a lot of folks involved in that, like my elders and grandmother, and I was fortunate enough.
My grandparents too.
Yeah, yeah. So I was fortunate enough to have to sit at their feet and understand the full story, and as I'm sure you had as well. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to take away everything that those people sacrificed, and a lot of people died and marched and all type of things. And I'm not going to take that all away and act like they didn't accomplish things. So that's the only thing I have really having trouble with. For us to 60 years later say they failed when we're sitting here on an app with all type of options and education and choices that we can make to better ourselves, and a lot of us do, and a lot of that wouldn't have been possible. So it's kind of like disingenuous to sit here and say they failed, but we're sitting here talking about it freely, and we
I don't
still
think
got a
these.
lot of things. Hold on, I'm
Yeah, but
almost
I
done.
don't. I'm sorry.
We
No,
hold
go ahead.
on,
My
I'm
bad.
gonna land. We still got a whole lot of things to overcome, but we have a lot more access to information and opportunity than we've ever had. Should it be more? Yes, but to act like there's none would be, you know what I mean? Would kind of be like
Hmm.
heavy-handed, and that's just my
But
opinion. But go ahead,
yeah, but
Kat.
we lost it. We lost a lot to where we have to actually gain more. We have to fix more. Like being able to communicate uh, electronically the way that we are would happen regardless because They had cars back then. They had stores back then. They had, like Latif said, gas station, all that shit back then. The big difference was it was our shit. It wasn't they shit.
Hey,
Well,
Now,
can we
now,
talk about
I'm
this?
from Philly, so it doesn't, that story doesn't quite jive. Maybe it's a regional thing. Maybe in the South they had, or the West. I don't know. But in Philly, it wasn't that wasn't the case, bro.
right?
Like we
But
had a
it,
lot
That
of,
was
hold on. We
that
had a
was a
lot of, hold
oh,
on.
country.
wait,
We
wait,
had a
wait,
lot of,
wait. Nah, you actually asked me to
Philly is
yield
a
to you, and
I
you
didn't
didn't
that's
ask
an
ask.
me yet.
Oh, go
anomaly.
ahead.
Philly is
Go
an
ahead, Cat.
anomaly
Go ahead,
though.
Cat.
I
One
appreciate
mic,
it,
y'all.
brother. So what I'm saying is that when I'm saying that we lost, like from that them strategic attacks. So Martin says that dream was a failure. Nobody made any adjustments to modify how it should be. And right after that, you strategically saw the household destroyed. We don't have a black household. The
Okay.
major difference
So,
between us today and our people back then is that they were more galvanized to be able to be gathered together because they was already together. We're not together because we're so integrated.
yeah.
We're so integrated that now people more so look at the vices we have as opposed to the community that we don't have. So I think the fight is harder now than it was back
Okay.
then because we
I,
don't even have a
now
community.
you from Jersey, right? I'm from Philly. Well,
Yeah,
you from New
Jersey,
York,
right?
Jersey, like, right? So
Jersey.
my
I'm from Jersey. Mm.
Jersey, okay. So my pushback is this though, Cat. Coming out of that civil rights movement, right? The deterioration of the black family would have happened mid to late 80s when I was small. Like with the crack, not small, but like with the crack era and everything like that had nothing to do with Martin Luther King or the civil rights movement. That I think that was a response to the success and the optimism that came out of that movement, that they had to ratchet it up. And you know what they did. Everybody on this floor is well
Correct.
aware of what came into our communities at that point. And I
Correct.
witnessed it. And it was unbelievable. So that doesn't have anything. If it had happened in 69 or 68, right, when he passed, or right, but no. You understand what I'm
We
saying?
saying the
And
same.
we
We
Hey
still
saying
have,
the
Cap,
same thing.
Cap,
okay,
I
but
Well,
think
I
your
can't
best
attribute, hold on. What I'm just saying,
real quick. Let
I'm
me
a
get.
land, I apologize,
Okay, no
Cat.
sweat.
Give me 30 seconds. All I'm
No sweat.
saying is
And then
this.
I just want
I
to
can't,
respond to him, and
oh,
then
go
the
ahead.
brother could go. No, no, you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I just want to.
Oh yeah. Only 20 seconds. But what I'm saying is I can't attribute that to a failure of the civil rights movement. It's more like, damn, now these people believe they can get something done. Look at the family. The family structure was strong. And then you know whatever came. I land there though. Go
Right.
ahead.
No, but we're really saying the same thing
Oh,
because I
okay.
said after Martin, what I'm saying is after Martin says that that plan was wrong, the leaders that came after him didn't adjust the plan and they didn't pay attention to the vices that was coming. Aaron, the stuff that you said, I'm in full agreement with. So now they was able to devise something else to further separate us. And the minute that you try to stand up and be militant, I have mentioned the Muslims, the Panthers, they would use Martin as the litmus test for what black people should be, which is a pacifist. And we couldn't be militant and be strong. And then we was allowed to be infiltrated. And so then you start seeing the deterioration. And by the time the 80s came, it was a wrap. We really ain't been the same since the 80s. So,
Right. Hey,
you
Cap,
know,
Hey,
real
Cap,
quick.
Cap. I think your
I
best
did.
example. I'm
Hold
gonna
on,
tell.
Chief, real quick.
That's a
Let me
fact.
No,
squeeze.
no, no. Wait, because
Hold on.
Latif was trying to get in
Yeah,
before. So
Yeah,
let
yeah,
Chief
yeah.
get
Yo,
in there.
Cap. Your best example is what they did with HBCU. So everybody knows that in our community or in any community to thrive, you need about 4 or 5 major pieces of infrastructure, right? You need your own education system, your own banking system, your own farming system. You know what I'm saying? Your own hospital system, of course, for Medicare and all that other stuff. And then is one more system that you really need in place to solidify your infrastructure as a community, right? And if you think about all those infrastructures, every single one of them have failed. We have probably like a handful of black banks left, and our HBCUs are basically on a cliffhanger right now. You know what I'm saying? But that educational system that we established, as far as on a collegiate level, is probably the last stronghold that we have. You know what I'm saying? As a black community, and we see that our HBCUs are struggling and closing down every day. But that is a clear example. That institution, when you look at institutions and what black people own institutionally, you know what I'm saying? The HBCU example is probably the best example that you gave so far that we can actually visualize, because we still have HBCUs to this day, and we actually see the state disarray that they're in as well.
Con,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
And we don't even have any of those other institutions to even draw from, you know what I'm saying, to even make examples from. So that is the only thing we have left, and they're struggling. So that's the clear example that the move to integrate, you know what I'm saying, wasn't the best, because at one time we had many more HBCUs, you know what I'm saying. So that might have been the most the clearest example you could have gave, that we can tangible example that we can actually put our eyes on, feel, and touch to this day,
right. And that's
that's the
inspirational,
symbolism
Latif,
to
because
what
like
you was
my
talking about.
daughter, yeah, because like my daughter, you know, she made it her business to tell me that's the only college she wanted to go to. And I sent her, yeah, I think it's Morgan State. I always get them confused. I said Morehouse in the interview one time. I think that's an all boy college. But yeah, I sent her to Morgan State because she wanted to go to a HBCU. So that is the one of the best examples you can get. I
Yeah,
yield
that's
with
the
that.
last stronghold we got. Is that I
Mm-hmm.
graduated from the
Real shit.
HBCU, so yeah, I know firsthand. Like
Well,
that's the last stronghold we got as far as what we established prior to integration. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Prior to integration, we don't have any other industry that we established prior to integration that's still surviving right now. We don't.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I think I don't know. I have a hard time bashing Martin Luther King 60 years later. One, I think what we're forgetting is Martin Luther King's plan was to fight for civil rights, the right to go where you want, the right to use public transportation, the right that a white man can't just come up in your house and beat the shit out of you for no reason without him going to jail, being arrested, whatsoever. The right to do it was about rights, and we achieved those rights, and that led into integration. What happened after integration, and yeah, you know, he did make the statement that you know, he had felt that he had led, that his dream was becoming a nightmare, and that he had led us into a burning building. But that was in hindsight. Like I think it was Dell said, you know, that was you sitting on the couch quarterbacking the next day.
Right, right.
When a lot of what we're doing blaming Martin Luther King is our fault as a race, because other races come here and use the rights that Martin Luther King fought for, and they work it perfectly. Whether it's where they utilize
Yep.
integration that he fought for, and they also stick to their own, support their own businesses, and then when that can't go any further, then they go ahead and they branch out, and then they bring that money back to their community. That's not Martin Luther. That's because of Martin Luther King that they're able to do that. It is not Martin Luther King's fault that we as black folks do not do that. That we continue spending our money with Nike and everything else that we do. So to sit and 60 years later and say Martin Luther King was at fault when he even said, as was quoted, that I've led my people into a burning building, but didn't get a chance to steer them away from that building, I think is that's kind of
Yeah, that's
faulty.
where I
And
was at,
we're the
Thrower.
Thrower,
only.
Yeah,
Hold
but you
on, let me
know,
say
as
this.
thrower,
Martin
you
Luther
kind
King,
of
I'm sorry.
contradicted your own point, thrower. You kind of
There's no
contradicted
way I
your own
did.
point.
Hold
Nah,
on.
No,
nah, he made a
Ho-
good point
Yeah.
though.
no,
Hold
he
on,
kind of
hold on.
contradicted his
Let me
own
finish
point.
because we're the only race that will sit on a public platform in front of a million other races and disparage our own and our own leaders. We're the only ones that
That
does
was
that
my
shit.
That's a
point.
fact.
I don't get
That was
it.
my
I
point
don't
initially.
understand it. You look at what we've done wrong from that dream, and then let's push on from there. Because when it's all said and done, there is no other leader, and probably never will be. This whole leadership thing, we're beyond looking for one single leader. It's not going to happen again. It's time for us as individuals to get up and do what we know is right and support our people. No other race needs a leader in America except for black folks.
Hey,
You know
Hmm.
what though, throw when
throw,
someone comes up with a plan for black people, nobody supports it.
hey,
But that's
thrower, you
hold
Then
on,
kind
hold
of
on,
support
hold
your
on.
own
contradicted
So
your own
household.
point, thrower, because you said
How did
Yeah.
I do
that
that?
other
Was that
cultures
Martin Luther
you
King
said
fault?
that other cultures, when they utilize the benefits that Martin Luther King put in place, right? And then you said that they work with each other and build up their own community, and then they branch out and do
Right.
business with
Right.
other communities.
Right.
So that's the main point that me and Cap is trying to drive, is that eventually, if we would have just built up our community and we never would have integrated, they would have had to do business with us anyway.
So
So
They
I'm
would
going
have
T,
to
had to.
explain to you
You
why
know
that's
what I'm
not a
saying?
contra.
I
Hold on,
don't
let me
know.
explain to you
So
why that's
listen,
not a
listen. Hold on,
contradiction.
hold on. Wait a minute.
All
Hold
right,
on.
go
Wait a
ahead.
minute. Let me finish. They would have had to do business with us anyway, but we didn't even give it a shot for us to build our businesses all the way up. The only thing we was trying to do was say, "Hey, white man, we trying to sit in the same building with you. Even if you hit us on top of our head and spit on us, we still gonna try to fight to get in there." That's what we did. We didn't just say, you know what, fuck y'all, we just gonna build our stuff up. And then when you trying to sell your product to the black community, you're gonna have to do business with us and come over here and shake hands because you trying to sell your product to us now. Or we trying to sell our product to you. So now it's a barter system. Now you got to negotiate with us and you got to meet us on level. The same way they have to do with every other community that comes here and builds up their community from the ground up, and they put a stronghold on whatever industry they got. So now the white man got to come over and say, hey, I can't be racist to the Asian man, to the Arab man. I can't be racist to them, even though they probably feel that way, but they got to do business because why? They running they sector of business. So I'm just saying, you contradicted your point just
I'm
a
going to explain
tad
to you
bit,
why there's no
saying that
contradiction
it
in
was
it.
all about integration when you clearly stated that the reason why these other races are winning, even though they're utilizing the benefits of Martin Luther King, but the reason why they're winning is because they focus on what they have to do as a community. We had an opportunity to do that ourselves. Actually, we were forced to do it by law. You know what I'm saying?
So,
And
right.
guess what? We fought to break that down and try to eat with them.
So I'm going to explain to you why there's no contradiction in what I was saying. Business eats. It don't see race. It eats. So you have to control it. It's just like a fire. You can. It's always gonna be hot. You either make it big or you make it small. We have to control it. So when we have a black business, and if we had done it correctly, and we have a black, and now all of a sudden we've got all these rights, we're able to integrate. But now we're sticking and we're supporting our black-owned businesses, our black-owned communities. But let's say I'm selling shoes. My community's behind me. I'm hiring nobody but the people in my community. My community, the whole street, the whole block, the whole city, the whole county is rocking the shoes that I design. Guess what? We're limited in numbers. So now all of a sudden this white dude says, hey, I want to go into that black store and I want to buy some of those shoes. Now we making that white money, that Asian money, that Mexican money. But guess what? I'm still taking it and using it in my community, going back to black businesses, supporting our people. I'm not just making shoes, I'm buying your socks that you make as a black man. You get what I'm saying? So all businesses are gonna have to go out beyond what their little area is in order for them to maintain full success. So that's what I mean by other races come here and they build up their communities in many ways. But then they also use integration to their advantage because guess what? If I'm making Chinese food in my area and then all of a sudden I start selling, whites start coming to my store, now I'm getting their money also, but I'm still spending it in my area. That is why so many other races are successful here, and that is why we're not. We haven't even got to that step. We're at the first step of just trying to get us to support our own. But you can't blame that on Martin Luther King. You got to
right.
blame that on us. That's us.
Can I follow
He
up
saw how
though?
he was misleading us,
Hold on, I'm
but
gonna respond.
some of it wasn't just him misleading us. It was us being so happy to be in somewhere white that we forgot to do our own shit. And you can't blame him for that, especially when he acknowledges it and never got the
Yeah,
I'm
chance to
glad
he
you
turn
was
it
said
back
that last
around.
point.
incompetent.
And again, we're the only race that jumps on a fucking public platform in front of a bunch of other races and tears down somebody 60 years later through all their little imperfections. But nobody wants to admit that ain't nobody else getting us the same rights or all these other races
We ain't
from
got no
races
rights,
to
man.
gays. Nobody else is getting that for anybody else.
Ain't
Yo,
no
I'm glad you
movement
said
gonna
that
take no
last
answer
point,
for
thrower.
what they
Hold on,
saying.
thrower. Hold on, thrower. I'm glad you said that last point, right? Because you said that we are so happy, you know what I'm saying, to go and I forget the exact words you use. We're so
We're so
happy.
happy just to be able to walk into that
All
white
right, to be able to
location.
walk in.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. To be able to walk into that white location, right? That is the psychological effect that was played on the black community behind Martin Luther King's
In
movement. You know what I'm
hindsight,
saying? Hold on, wait a minute, because we were willing to get spat on and beaten on just to say that we could go in a white man's store. just to say that we could drink from the white man's fountain. See, the problem is that they made us think that everything that was white was right and that it was better than what we had. That was the psychological effect of Martin Luther King's movement. See, this is the problem that we're talking about. So now we have a problem convincing people that anything that's black owned or black made is superior to anything because we've already been brainwashed to think that everything on the other side is better than ours. So that's the psychological effect that we're not even talking about here, that movement has caused on us and is still affecting us to this very single day. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
All
think
right, I
we
And
gotta
are
have a
I
talking
think we
about it,
response.
and I
blaming the
think
well,
that's
wrong
what
hold
he
on,
was
hold
people.
on.
talking
Wait a
That's
minute.
about
that's
when
Just
he
wait a minute.
oh
I
said
want
the
to make a
burning house.
classic example. I want to make a clear example about other cultures. All right. We could talk about Mexican culture. We could talk about Asian culture. Have you ever been inside a Mexican supermarket or an Asian supermarket? You probably wouldn't even shop there. You'll go in there and be like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I wouldn't even.
No,
I done
I've
walked
been
into
in
Asian
them many
supermarket. Hold on,
times.
wait a
My
minute.
wife makes
Hold on, wait a
tamales, so
minute.
I've
I
been
done
in them
walked in
many
these
yeah,
Asian
times.
a
supermarkets. Wait
Mexicano.
a minute. Wait a minute. I done walked in these Asian supermarkets, right? And I done looked at, you know, like how they keep certain stuff on the shelf, and I'd be like, damn. I would never shop here. I would unless I'm getting something specific that I can only get from them, right? So now it forces me to shop there. But outside of that, I would necessarily not shop there. But their community is going to support their stores no matter what. You can't tell you can't tell their community that their supermarket is inferior to the white man's supermarket. Why? Because they're specifically supporting their supermarket because something that they're looking for that's specific to their culture. That's the only place that they can find it, and that's what we should have focused on more than anything. That's what we're trying to say is that eventually, if the white man wanted to get some fucking good collard greens and mac and cheese and yams, he would have had to come over to the other side of the tracks, bro. You know what I'm saying? You check,
But we was
but
building
but
an
but
identity
because
then, bro.
we would have built it up to that point. But the fact that we felt like our shit wasn't good enough and we had to go over there to where it was better, it caused a whole
T.
psychological backlash to where now we don't think our stuff is good enough and
Hey,
we only want the shit from over there.
Hold on,
But
hold
And
on.
I
that's
Hey,
the
can
think
I
we're
say
problem.
this real
saying, I
quick
think
though?
we're saying the
Can I say
same
this real
thing
quick
though.
though? We're saying the same thing though,
Yeah.
but for his movement and what he did, niggas ain't finna take no ass whoopings for that. Niggas ain't finna get bit by no dogs. Niggas ain't finna get
Yeah,
pepper
because they're
spray.
gonna fight
None of
back.
that.
They're not gonna be
No,
a
no.
pacifist. That's the point.
Niggas
They
ain't
took the
finna
ass
none of that.
whipping on purpose.
They take that ass whippings, but
On
niggas ain't
purpose.
well, hold on, but niggas ain't finna take them ass whippings and niggas ain't finna ride. So they ain't finna do
Let me get a
nothing.
dozen of
Niggas
these
is finna
too.
do a lot of fat mouth
But
shit
yeah, and
about this and
So
that.
just
But
for
nah,
him.
niggas
Get
ain't
a
yeah,
drop
let me
for
get
him.
in there
they finna
at
take
some
them ass
point.
whippings and niggas ain't finna slide. So we gotta be like we really gotta be real with ourselves. Like, okay, as far as like what he did, like we could like you said, we can Monday morning quarterback, we had what he did about this and that. Now there's hell of other shit that causes the reason where we're at. But we can't just say, okay, yeah, it's all because of him. It was this, it was that. Like, come on, that's some bullshit. Because ain't nobody for what the movement he had. He died for that shit. You niggas ain't ready to die for
Yeah.
y'all movements. Niggas, I mean, a lot of times niggas ain't finna take no ass whoopings for that. Niggas ain't finna get slapped.
Haven't
Hey
died for
man,
that.
niggas risk
Let's
Hold
not
on.
say what
Hold
listen,
what he
on.
man, we
don't
go out
do.
on them
Hold
streets and
on.
risk our lives every day, so I really
I
ain't trying to
got you.
hear
Look,
No,
that
you
talk.
hey
nah,
K,
you're
Let
not
me
risking your
hold
life,
on.
hold on.
bruh.
Let me
Hold
let
on,
me
hold on.
wait,
let me
Hey,
when you say
Cardiz is
unless
100%
you've
right, but
been
hold
with
on, you're
unless
not
you've
risking
been
your
hold
life
on,
like they
bro.
was risking their
one
life,
mic
bruh.
on one
Now
mic
now
on
you're
throw
making
it
a
in cap.
comparison. Now you're
Yeah,
making
hold
a
on,
Let me
hold
comparison.
on,
add the
because
cap,
hold on,
please.
you doing you hold on. Everybody talking this pro-black shit is doing it from a safe place. If
What
it
safe
wasn't for
place are they
Martin
doing
Luther
it
King,
from?
Ain't
hold on.
nobody
If it
dying.
wasn't for Martin Luther King, you would not be able to do it. Niggas was really dying. You niggas ain't getting bit by no dogs,
I have this
sprayed
already.
by
Let me
water
have this.
hoses.
Thrown
You're
in
not going through
alligator
none of that
pits.
shit. You
I'm
doing
from
it.
the
You
south. Like
talking
I
shit
know
Trust
from
me.
a
these
safe
stories.
place.
You
Not
can
that
give me a
what you
pound of
saying
that.
is wrong, but let's be realistic here. Come
Yeah, you
on,
can't
bruh.
put
And
everybody in there. Like,
When y'all keep when y'all
here's
say
the
some
other
shit
thing.
like you doing it from a safe space, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Unless you've been with me for 13 years and been seeing me in DC, New York, and the places that I've
we're
traveled
Captain,
to
not
so do
actually
talking
you
about
see
you though,
think
proof. I'm
Cap.
not
so
We
in a
know
safe.
what you do.
I'm
yeah,
not
I'm not
making a
talking
compare.
about
I'm
not
not.
you, but
First of all, I'm
actually
not
no,
making
let's
a
go. We can go to you.
No, I'm not
Captain,
trying to
you're
make a
doing it.
It's
comparison.
not personalized
Let
to
me
you,
finish.
Cap. First off,
No, but what
Yeah,
I'm saying is
what
I'm not
we're
trying
doing when
to.
we push our agendas now, we are doing it from a safe place where we have rights that protect us. Those rights
No,
came from
we've had
Martin
police. Listen,
Luther
we've had
King.
police arm themselves, surround us. I've had them take my ID, have me standing there Like I don't think y'all understand what y'all saying, and I'm not trying to make a
But
comparison
that's
to what
nigga
they
shit.
Hold
did.
We've
on, one
had
mic.
all of us have
I'm
been
not.
through
I
that.
ain't.
Yeah.
Let
I
Cap
say about
land,
it. I say
then you
about the
go, Thor.
police. That's not nigga shit. That's not
No,
nigga
that's what
shit.
I'm
I say
saying. That's I've had them take my
Hey,
ID and surround me.
let him
Like
land,
that.
not for
Thor.
teaching. Not for teaching. Wait. You ain't had them take it for standing on the front line for black people. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about getting pulled over by no police. I'm talking about when we go out on that street and teach and be attacked, whether it be by our own people or whether it be by the police saying we can't be there. You ain't been there. You ain't had them have the FBI, screaming out the FBI, the police come out with their M16 surround us and my general standing there saying we don't give a fuck about your guns. You ain't been there. So stop saying that
You
we in the
can't speak for
comfortability.
everybody
Cap,
what
they
Stop.
can't
some
Wait,
drop
of us
wait.
that
have
I
been
dog
just want to
leash
there.
on you no
finish.
more
I just
because
want
of
to
Martin Luther
finish.
King.
Y'all
I'm
let him
not
land.
making a I'm not making a comparison to who did what, but I will say they wouldn't have fucking hit us and hosed us and we wouldn't have defended ourselves. That's what Martin chose to do, and he said it was wrong. So to be on the app, it's about giving proper education so that the Monday quarterbacking that y'all talking about, if you Monday quarterback and you Monday quarterbacking so that the Giants don't beat you again. You're not going to do the same play. You're not going to run the same route. You're not going to do the same thing. And those leaders that came after him, the Jesse Jacksons and everybody else, did the exact same thing. Jesse Jackson, who took up the mantle after him, went from saying abortion is wrong to saying abortion is right because he
Yeah,
took
I
a
don't like
deal.
Jesse.
So again, the leadership. So now, what we supposed to learn from that quarterback? So if I say Jesse Jackson ain't
Jesse
shit,
don't
that's
count.
cool. But I can't say Jesse do count because back
He
then,
was part
again,
of
you about
Martin
to do.
Luther movement.
You're about to do the same thing that you telling me I can't do to Martin. You about to say Jesse don't count because of what you know about him now. So if you could say Jesse don't count, then Martin don't
Come
count
on.
because
They
excuse
was
me.
Martin don't
together.
Even if
But
you
count.
we,
want
we
to
didn't
say
like
Together.
a
here's
lot of
what
us didn't like Jesse
here's
back
what I'll
then.
give you with Martin. Here's what I'll give you with Martin. Martin at least had the gumption to say his movement was leading us into a burning house. You don't go into a burning house to live, you go into a burning house to die. So at best, everybody that came after him that's pushing the exact same thing and is not modifying it opposite of what Martin said, did not listen to what Martin said. I listened to what Martin said,
I'm
and I'm
I
listening
not
agree.
to
going
it,
in that
but
fucking burn.
can you
I'm
define
not
the
going in
burning
that
house,
burning
Cat?
fucking house.
Hey, you guys, he has not landed. Moderators, you guys, it's one mic on Captain and Thrower. Anybody else that come off their mic, please mute them. Like we not even gonna do this morning.
So if we're gonna Monday quarterback and I yield and y'all can have the floor back then, and you're doing the same thing the coach told you is wrong, you ain't learned the lesson. I listened to what Martin said, and I'm never going to lead my people into that burning fucking house. Period. I yield. I'm
That
done. Y'all got it.
that I agree with you 100% is that we didn't switch